Now, as the average Indian woman becomes increasingly pressed for time and is struggling to balance her domestic life and her career, she's now ready to loosen the tight reins she holds in the kitchen and is a lot more receptive to products and services that make cooking meals at home that much easier. And believe it or not, this little fact has opened up a multi-billion-dollar market for FMCG players and retailers alike, a space companies have shied away from for nearly a decade: the woman's kitchen. For instance, kneaded flour, chopped vegetables or semi-processed dals that allow her to do the last mile of cooking herself. But what is stopping companies from capturing the center of the plate, and what will it take for them to emerge successful in this category? Khushbu Patodia and Tara Kapoor dig deep.
J.R.R. Tolkien famously said, "If more of us valued food and cheer in song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world." And while there's no hiding that we Indians love our gold, there is nothing that we value more than a hearty, home-cooked meal. So much so that Indians spend as much as 1/3 of their income on food products. And the center of the plate is quite literally at the center of it all. Digest this. Over 80% of the total spends on food revolve around 3 major meals of the day. In fact, according to a study by the Boston Consulting Group, 70% of Indian consumers shop with a specific list. However, more than half make impulse buys beyond their planned purchases, as most consumers are looking for new products that can better serve their main meal. As a result, over 80% of these impulse buys are in the fresh foods category. But what's shocking is that FMCG players and retailers focus only on the plate's periphery, with almost no penetration in the home meal replacement category, a category that accounts for more than $330 billion.
I think that's the nature of FMCG in India. They're playing, I think, in a very limited path. They have not developed products, innovation is low. The opportunity is there and they have the capability to do it. They have international competence to do it. None of them is really attacking the space. And if you ask me why, I think it's because there is a diffidence in attacking the home citadel.
I think the home meal replacement for any significant penetration, it is at least 10 years away. But I think the interesting thing is, even at a 5% penetration, we are still talking about a $15 billion market. And if you think about it, there are not too many billion-dollar categories in India today.
While FMCG companies and retailers all agree that the center of the plate offers the biggest growth opportunity of the future, there is a great deal of hesitation when it comes to taking the first step. FMCG companies complain about the complexity of the market in terms of tastes across regions, issues in terms of supply chain and distribution, and the challenges that emerge because of the lack of suitable retail environments. Also, the fact that modern trade penetration is still very low in India, posing as another challenge for these companies. Retailers, on the other hand, argue that there is not enough innovation coming from FMCG companies, and they in turn don't see the need to revamp their stores unless there are ample products in the market that have these specific requirements.
The options really have to do a lot with having a frozen cold chain available. In the frozen space, especially if you see what happens in other countries, is really there are semi-prepared meals or fully prepared meals which are available in the frozen form. I don't think we have a frozen infrastructure or a cool chain infrastructure which is large enough to support a very major initiative.
Why have these companies done well abroad? Because there is a demand from the retailer to say that, hey, the consumer is asking for this, so you'd better go and put it out, and we will give you the environment through which to sell. There is a bit of a ringa roses going on here between the FMCG company and the retailer. I think it's a matter of evolution, and I believe the evolution is more at the retailer end than the FMCG end.
I think we have not been able to give viable alternatives to consumers to change their habits. We need to give them something superior, something better, something that solves a certain problem or makes it more pleasurable for them to shift. Because the requirements of the consumer, the palate, the time of day, the quantity, all of these things are very important variables.
We have seen homegrown companies and regional brands like Double Horseman Gilas, MTR and ITC making headway in the Indian market. But they are struggling to make massive forays in the home meal replacement category. While these products tackle the convenience hurdle for the Indian woman, who is becoming more and more pressed for time, they haven't mastered factors like taste, health and freshness. Factors the Indian woman is not ready to compromise on when it comes to her family's main meals.
When most of the brands came with their range of ready-to-eat products, they thought that these would be replacements for your home-cooked meals. But honestly speaking, the current condition is that these are actually products which you carry for convenience. So when you are traveling, when you are on holiday, when you are on a professional trip, and where you miss eating your regular food, that's when you want to eat that. So there is definitely a market for it, but the need of that product is different from what the current brands are wanting it to be.
The other big hurdle seems to be a mindset issue. For instance, global MNCs like PepsiCo and HUL still identify India as an emerging market and therefore choose to invest and grow in established categories instead of investing in newer ones. As a result, no attempts have been made to venture into the home meal replacement space.
You will need to allow the Darwinian time for the fittest and the best and the smartest pitches at the customer to win. There aren't any ready-made solutions for the Indian market from the global MNC's portfolio. Therefore, people will have to make their own mistakes, people will have to take their own bets and discover it.
Currently, the centre of the plate offers a massive growth opportunity in the Indian market. However, experts believe that the growth rate will be slow, with just about 10% penetration in the HMR market by 2020. One of the steps that FMCG companies and retailers are using to penetrate the centre of the plate is by dividing the segment by the time of the day, namely breakfast, lunch and dinner. As of now, the maximum penetration has happened in the breakfast space with a flood of new cereals, oats and mueslis hitting the market. The major growth opportunity here is in the lunch and dinner categories, which haven't been touched so far. Many retailers have started taking baby steps in this space by offering what they call home meal refurbishment instead of home meal replacement. The idea is to give the consumer ready-to-cook products as opposed to ready-to-eat. One of the methods that they are using is to remove the negative labor involved in the process of cooking by offering chopped vegetables, peeled garlic and pastes for curries.
Negative labor solutions, intermediate products and ready-to-cook. We find up to this part really having traction with the Indian customer. But in mainstream dinner preparation, intermediary solutions is how far the customer, we believe, is ready right now.
The opportunity that lies before FMCG players and retailers in the HMR space is mammoth. And the winners in this segment will not be global homogenized product offerings, but foods that are uniquely Indian in taste and flavor. The biggest challenge for these players will be to bust the myth that ghar ka khana is the tastiest and healthiest way to consume these meals.
Exactly. In fact, even by offering goods that reduce negative labor like peeled garlic and chopped vegetables, retailers are able to add a price tag that's 50% higher than the market price for these products. And what's most interesting is that many time-poor consumers like you and me are all set to lap up these products regardless of the premium price, with industry estimates already indicating that the segment, though niche, is almost growing at 30% annually.